Hello, happy Friday, everyone. It's another episode of Meet the Experts today. Got a really fun guest, a friend of mine, and we're excited to have her today. But let me just tell you a little bit about Meet the Experts. This is a video podcast where we interview either business owners or experts in their field. If they don't own a business, sometimes both. Sometimes it's experts who own a business doing what they love, and that's one of my guests today is one of those. So if you want to be a guest on Meet the Experts, I'm going to tell you how at the end of this episode. But today's guest is Toni Walker from Toni Walker Photography, and just so I don't waste any time, let me just replace my banner there and bring Toni up. Hello.
Hi.
How are you today?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Of course, it's Friday, and I know that before the show we were chatting a little bit about the crazy weather and
Mhm.
the the kids being out of school and the dogs that get excited when we talk,
Yeah,
and we're just hoping that we're going to make it through this episode with no
that's right.
interruptions. But
That's right.
we'll warn
That's
our
right.
guests now that anything could
Fingers
happen. So
crossed.
fingers crossed. I know mine's in the other room today and watching TV, and I just told her, I'm like, remember, shh. So, but anyway, let's talk about you and your business today. So tell everyone a little bit about your business and how long you've been doing this here in the Triad.
So, I am a photographer. I'm a portrait and brand photographer here in Greensboro. I have been doing photography forever. To give you context, I used to shoot film a long, long time ago, but I've been doing portrait and brand photography specifically for about 4 years now. And I am here in the Triad. I service the Triad. I service most of North Carolina. Wherever I'm called, I'll go. And so, yeah, I've been doing it for about 4 years.
I always feel like photography is so interesting because with phones and everything else that comes up, like everybody thinks they're a photographer now, and I feel like the cameras have gotten so good that people can actually take some pretty good pictures, but I think doing it
Mhm.
as a career is like fascinating. So how did you get into photography, and then how did you transition that into a career?
So, again, I've been doing photography since I got a point and shoot film camera for Christmas when I was 9, 1,000 years ago. I actually used to work in a photo lab to put myself through college. So I developed everyone's film and I saw a lot of good stuff and a lot of interesting stuff. And so I've always done photography. I started getting into it when my friends were getting married and they were like, hey, we'll give you some money for film and you can just take our wedding pictures. I was like, okay, fine. So that led into wedding photography. And then as I was having children, I thought I can't spend a whole Saturday at a wedding and then spend tons of hours editing. And I've always loved portraits, I've always loved that. But as I started working on my own brand and actually working on my own business, I was noticing other business owners, and in a very nice way, their photos were lacking. And I realized that if they just had a little bit better images, if their images were just a little bit different, it would just launch them into professionalism, launch them into stratosphere. And so I really started learning more about branding photography, working with a client to get the right images, and so it's kind of taken off from there.
Awesome, awesome. And before we go any further, I am going to put some info up on the bottom,
Mhm.
just about you and your photography business and your Instagram
Yeah,
profile and your website. So we'll come back to that to talk about that stuff at the end,
yeah,
so people can get a hold of you. But brand photography, we're going to talk about that. I know I want to talk and touch on that, but
yeah.
what would you say, like in all of the stuff you do, what's your favorite part of your work?
Oh my gosh. I will tell you, I love seeing my images printed is a huge thing for me. And I'll go to my friend's house and they have printed the big family portrait that we did, and it's like over the fireplace, and there's pictures of their kids everywhere. that just keeps me going. I think people have stopped printed their images, and it is a travesty. There is going to be a lost generation of children that don't have prints. So seeing my images in print is just makes my heart pitter patter. And the other thing that I love, honestly, these days, especially with brand photography, is working with other brands and other small businesses and really taking what I've learned and helping them and seeing their businesses elevate just from changing a profile picture, just from changing the banner on their Facebook page. You know, little tweaks here and there have made all the difference for them, and that really makes me feel better.
That's so cool that you said that, and I never really stopped to take the time to think about the generations of. I mean, it's almost so bleak to think about generations of kids. Everything is just so digital; they don't look at prints. My wife and I are big fans of canvases. And actually, we have a whole wall
Yeah.
of family photos, and we do get a lot of them printed on canvas. And so
Hmm.
and then they're easy to change out and they're easy to hang. I'm terrible with a hammer and
Yeah.
a nail, so a push pin hangs
Yeah.
the canvas. I'm done, and it's great.
And you're
So
done.
we're keeping them updated.
Oh yeah, and I've got some of my own kids back here, and you know, there's even studies that say that children's self-esteem are positively affected when they have images of themselves in their home.
That's
They report higher levels of self-esteem when they see, and not just images of themselves, but of their family, of their grandparents, of generations before them. It really has a positive effect on kids, especially.
Oh, you just made my day. You just made my day. It makes
So you're
it
doing
melts my
good,
heart.
Daddy.
I
You're
know.
doing good.
I know. It's all over all we have pictures all over the house. But it's funny because Mackenzie, my daughter, will go in and she'll point to the refrigerator and she'll be like, "That's Nana. That's Pop. That's
Yeah,
Grandma. That's Grandpa. That's Jeep. That's So it's really cool that you said that. All right. So
yeah,
you've mentioned these words a few times, and I want to make sure that everybody understands what brand photography is. So what are
yeah.
the benefits of hiring you as a brand photographer, and what does that mean?
Okay. Brand photography is actually everywhere, but you don't know it. It is whenever you go on Facebook, and number one, you see someone's profile image. And a lot of people say brand photography and headshots, and it is definitely part of that, but it's a little bit more. When you go on someone's Instagram page, Jay, I think you can attest to this, but usually they talk about the nine grid on Instagram, and they
Mhm.
talk about how that's like the first thing that your potential client is going to see of your product, of your services, of yourself. Those need to look consistent. Those need to look on brand. They need to look cohesive with everything else. Websites, when you go on a website and someone has a lot of stock photos,
Mm.
but no images of themselves, they don't have a lot of images of them with the client. You have seen brand photography, but most people just didn't know it. And that's a little bit of what I do. I sit down with an audience or with a client, and we talk about what is your brand, what is your values in your brand, and then we use these images and we show it in their marketing, and it goes emails, Instagram, Facebook, website, print material. You know, people are
Mm.
still doing print material,
Oh
and they
yeah.
need good images to put in those brochures, business cards, the whole thing.
I'm so glad you said that. And I was as a brand myself and having an agency and working with clients and small business owners, I come across seeing some of those like faux pas as all the time of people with stock photography and these other things. But I have a friend of mine down in the Wilmington area who's taken a bunch of stuff, and then when I met you, I was like, well, that's great. And my feeling is, as a brand owner, find a good brand photographer every place that you travel, because you never know when inspiration is going to hit you, and you want to have somebody that you can book time with. Because if I'm in Wilmington, I have my friend
Totally.
Haley. If I'm here, I got you. And I think that anywhere else I might travel, I think as a business owner, it's probably really good that you have a couple of brand photographers ready.
Yep.
And if you're in the Greensboro or Triad area, I would recommend everybody talk to you, of course. So
Thank
that's
you.
very
And
cool.
and
Yeah.
that is And that, sorry to interrupt, that is a big thing too, is make sure that you find someone that's going to sit down and have a planning meeting with you. And I'm going to say this with all the love in my heart. I know you've got a cousin that has a good camera. That's great. They're still not a brand photographer.
Yes.
And as I say that again with all the love and understanding that a business owner has a limited budget, but you've got to find someone who's going to sit down and talk with you about your brand so that the images reflect that. Not just we're going to meet in a park and take some pretty pictures and we're done. There's a huge difference.
There is. And with all the love in my heart, I'm going to piggyback on that. And your cousin may have the good camera and your niece might know how to do some social media and digital marketing, but that doesn't make your niece a digital marketer. So I totally get it. There's a lot of these things that we can technically do it ourselves, but there's going to be a difference in the quality, in the end product, in what people are going to see. And I feel like that's exactly right. Yeah,
absolutely.
All right. So let's just talk different services. We talked about the brand photography, but let's talk about like common types of things that you can help with, whether it's issues or services. Just what are some ways if I think of what your end customer might be thinking about, and then how can you help them?
Okay. So for me, what I always try to do with my clients is we sit down and we talk about like the next 6 months in your business. Are you going to be relaunching your website? Are you going to be blasting an email marketing campaign? How many of those are you going to do? Are you looking to fix up your Instagram? Remember, we talked about that 9 grid. Are you looking to make that more consistent? And talking with them. And then from there, we go into what kind of images do they need? Do we need to bring in like a client for us to take pictures, like my client and like their pretend client, and like model for them to show a client experience and what that looks like? Do we do product photography? You know, that's a whole, there's lots of variations for that too. We do headshots, of course. Everybody needs good headshots. You know, your Facebook might be different than your LinkedIn profile because they're 2 different things. You know, we might want to talk about like a picture of you like drinking a cup of coffee or showing you like typing on your computer. And again, that comes in the consultation. When we sit down and we talk about your vision for your brand, that's when the ideas start coming. And that's when the thoughts start going to specific things that you have coming up in your business that we need to show people with these own brand images.
That's such a great list and extensive, and I love how you literally did. You like put it what's going on in people's heads, because you were talking about like sitting at the desk or drinking a cup of coffee, and like immediately like those visuals came into my head, and I'm like, man, think about how much more powerful it would be if I could just show people in my day-to-day environment, right?
Absolutely. And a lot of people think that's not important or that's kind of boring, but your clients want to see you. They want to know that they're dealing with a real live human being, and someone who has, you know, a real life. And when you show those things, it draws them in. It makes them trust you more. It makes them understand who you are a little bit better. And when my clients are done, when we do a photo shoot, and it's like a 2-hour kind of thing, we bring outfits, the whole yard. When they are done, they have a file folder full of images that they are now ready to use. If they want to talk about, you know, I keep up with my clients on Instagram, there's a picture of them on the computer that they can use with it, because Instagram likes it, and you can tell me if I'm wrong here, but Instagram likes it when your pictures match up your words. If they don't match up, sometimes it's like no bueno. And so when your pictures match up with your words, good things happen.
Absolutely. And then engagement starts. And then when engagement starts happening, then it's that cycle starts in motion. Absolutely.
The community starts, the trust begins. And when you use stock photos, you don't get that same feeling. So we're basically making our own personal stock photos for your business.
That's phenomenal. So how many pictures do you like when you're talking about like having this library of photos? So if you did like a brand session, how many photos do you typically do? Like, and it could be a range.
Yeah. So usually when people come into me for headshots, I usually give them like 3, 4, 5 images that they can use. And that's, people sometimes just need headshots. Great. That's fine. When they come into me for a brand session, we can have somewhere between 50 in a session. Whenever we're done, we'll have, again, like a bank of images. I do have a higher package that people get a bank of images. We also do like a few little videos, like little 10-second videos that they can use in different areas. So there's like a little bit of a bigger bank file folder for them to draw from. And again, that's for people who know that they're going to need that in the next year or the next 6 months of their business. They know they need a few little videos. They know they need some like behind the scenes of them working. So it depends on what people need. But usually in a session, I have about 50 to 100.
That is great. Can you like think about it? If you're a business owner and you're watching this right now, think about having 100 different images or 50, even 50 different images, and all the ways you can repurpose that, use it, all the different platforms and all the different things you can do with an image. On one of the sites that I like to use is Place It, where you can actually put an image on like a book cover or magazine cover, or and it does it for you. And I was thinking like, gosh, then the world is endless. Like you have all the options, at your disposal. That is awesome.
And even if people,
go ahead.
And even if people just, if people just change their profile picture once a month, every time, I know, like on Facebook, when you change your profile picture, Facebook alerts everybody like, hey, go check it out. They changed it. Or when you replace your banner. So just replacing your profile image alerts people and gets you in front of their eyes more and more.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Love that. Love that. So at the bottom of the ticker here, we have a little bit more about how people can find you. I will say that if you can go over to Instagram, if you're on Instagram, go to T Walker Photo at T Walker Photo and follow Toni on Instagram. Her Instagram is great. She's got a lot of examples, a lot of real actual photos that she took on there. And then Toni Walker Photography is your website. So if people want to get a hold of you, maybe they're seeing this interview and they're like, I have got to book Toni to do this project, right? What's the best and fastest way for them to get a hold of you?
If they go to my website, there's a link where they can send me an instant email, and that comes straight to me. If they go to Instagram, they can send me a direct message. I'm on there way more than I should be. Don't tell me. So those two are really great. No. So Instagram is really great. It's a direct message, and on my website is a direct link for them to send me an email. And I love to be able to talk to people so that I can explain myself much better than a really cold email. So I'm ready to answer any questions.
That is awesome. All right. Well, thank you, Toni, for being a guest today. I'm so glad we got to do this. I don't want you to go anywhere when I dismiss you, because I'll chat with you after the episode. But thanks again, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Thanks for being on Meet the Experts.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Well, awesome. Toni is great. If you're in the Triad, or you're even outside the Triad, or if you know someone that is in the area that wants brand photography or headshots, any type of brand style photography, please go check her out at T Walker T Walker Photo on Instagram, and follow her there, or go to her website. So that being said, if you want to be a guest on Meet the Experts, I told you all I would get back to this. Please visit guests.advertisinggreensboro.com. So that's guests.advertisinggreensboro.com. It's a real easy 3-step process. and we'll have a sound check booked where we can actually come on and talk about the episode and what you want to see. Just remember, no www. It's just guests instead of www. And a little bit about me. If you are a small business owner and you're struggling with all of these terms online that you don't understand, you don't know the difference between an SEO and a PPC, you don't know the difference between what Instagram can do for you versus LinkedIn or Twitter. You want to be able to email people, but you don't know how to grow your list. Anything digital marketing related, if you're struggling with, I would love to sit down with you, no obligation, and help you with your business. So with that being said, thanks for tuning in for another episode of Meet the Experts, and we will see you all very, very